It was a calm, ordinary day on Earth, or at least, that's how it seemed on the surface. People went about their daily routines, unaware that the galaxy was about to change forever. Deep in space, a new and mysterious signal emerged from a part of the galaxy that no one had ever explored. It was a strange, repeating sequence of numbers and symbols, so complex and encrypted that it couldn't be ignored. Something was out there, and it was calling to them. The signal was first detected by a small group of scientists, deep within a top-secret research facility located far from the public eye. The facility was dedicated to studying deep space and extraterrestrial life. It wasn't just a place for academic research, it was a military outpost, designed to protect humanity in case of any alien threats. The scientists and officers working there were trained to handle anything, or so they thought. When the signal first appeared, there was excitement, yes, but also a deep sense of unease. The team of experts immediately tried to decipher it. They quickly realized that this was not just a random signal, but a message from an advanced alien civilization. The language was unlike anything the researchers had ever seen, far too complex for any ordinary alien species to communicate. This was something more. They were being watched as the team scrambled to understand the message. They received another transmission, this time, one that was more direct. A massive fleet of ships appeared in the far reaches of space, headed straight toward Earth. The ships were enormous, sleek, and terrifying. Their shapes were unlike anything the humans had ever encountered. Dark metallic ships that seemed to ripple with power, each one glowing faintly with an eerie green light. The scientists, now in a state of panic, immediately alerted the highest-ranking military officers, but the officers didn't know what to do. These ships were far more advanced than anything humanity had ever built. They moved through space with grace and speed, making the human military's most advanced technology look like child's toys. There was no way humanity could compete with this level of power. At first, there was hope. Maybe, just maybe, the aliens were peaceful. Maybe they wanted to communicate, to share knowledge. But that hope quickly vanished as the fleet drew closer and closer. The humans tried sending signals, attempting to establish contact, but there was no response. No words, no acknowledgement, only the growing presence of these ships. The world's governments were immediately thrown into a state of emergency. News stations broke the story, and panic swept across the globe. People had no idea what was happening. Was this the end of humanity? The military was mobilized, but they knew that, with their current weapons and technology, they stood no chance. The alien fleet was enormous, far beyond anything Earth had ever imagined. As the hours passed, the ships grew closer, filling the skies with their vast shadows. The military tried to launch their most advanced fighter jets and spacecraft, but the alien ships easily evaded them. Some of the jets didn't even make it close before they were destroyed by mysterious energy beams, leaving only burning wreckage in the atmosphere. The world watched in terror, unsure of what would happen next. Earth's greatest military minds had no answers. How could they fight something so powerful? The alien ships hovered in orbit, silent and ominous, like a dark cloud waiting to strike. It seemed like the end was inevitable. There was nothing anyone could do. Then, in the midst of the chaos, something strange happened. A lone human ship, a small exploratory vessel, somehow made it close to the alien fleet. This ship wasn't part of the military, it was just a research craft, built for scientific exploration, with no weapons or armor. It shouldn't have stood a chance against the alien Armada. Yet, as the ship approached the fleet, something unexpected occurred. The alien ships, which had been completely silent, suddenly transmitted a signal not to the ship, but to the humans back on Earth. The transmission was strange and cryptic. A series of codes, complex patterns, and symbols flashed across the screen. The research team, who had been monitoring the signal, realized something terrifying. The aliens weren't just invaders. They were watching the humans. They knew them. They knew exactly who they were. The transmission was brief, only lasting a few minutes, but it was enough to send a chill down the spines of everyone on Earth. The message was clear. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They thought that this small, fragile species would be easy to wipe out. They had no idea that the humans were capable of much more than they appeared. Just as the aliens seemed ready to make their move, the research vessel made an unexpected jump faster than any ship the humans had ever built, powered by a strange energy source. It wasn't just a small research craft anymore. The ship had somehow become a beacon, a signal to the rest of humanity, one that said, "We are not as weak as you think." The fleet of alien ships paused. They didn't advance, nor did they attack. Instead, they waited. It was as if they were suddenly unsure. It was as if they were waiting for something. The story was just beginning. The humans were about to show the galaxy that they were far more than anyone had ever imagined. The first encounter with the alien fleet had sparked a chain of events that would change the course of history forever. The question was no longer whether humanity would survive. The question now was, how would they fight back, and what secrets were they hiding? As the screen went dark, the viewers were left with one thought. Humanity's true power was still hidden, but soon, the galaxy would see it. The silence in the command room was deafening. The world watched in tense anticipation as the first wave of alien ships loomed closer, casting an ominous shadow over Earth. The military, scientists, and government officials scrambled to make sense of the situation, but there was little they could do. With their primitive technology, they were outmatched and outclassed. Earth's defenses were futile in the face of such overwhelming power. But what the world didn't know, what even the alien forces couldn't have anticipated, was that the humans weren't as defenseless as they appeared. Beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities scattered across the globe, something far more powerful was quietly being prepared. While the world watched the skies, oblivious to the true threat, humanity had been working on something extraordinary, and now, it was time for the galaxy to learn the truth. For decades, the human race had been secretly developing technology that far surpassed anything even the most advanced alien species could imagine. This was not the work of a few scientists in an isolated lab, but rather a global effort involving the brightest minds from every corner of the Earth. They had anticipated that one day, someone or something would come to challenge humanity's place in the galaxy, and when that day arrived, they were ready. In a heavily guarded underground facility, deep beneath the mountains, the last preparations were being made. A handful of top military officials and scientists gathered around a massive holographic table. The air was thick with urgency as they watched the alien fleet approaching Earth in real time. The atmosphere was electric, as everyone in the room knew that humanity's survival hung in the balance. But there was no fear, only resolve. The head scientist, Dr. Marcus Ellis, a man who had dedicated his life to this very moment, stood at the center of the room. His hands were steady, despite the weight of the situation. "Activate the Armada," he said, his voice cutting through the tension. His command was met with no hesitation. With a flick of a switch, the room was filled with the low hum of powerful engines coming to life. Above Earth, hidden within the depths of space, lay the fleet that had been silently constructed over the years, a fleet that was unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't just a collection of ships, it was a force designed for one purpose: to ensure humanity's survival. A fleet that could rival the greatest armies the universe had to offer. For years, this armada had been kept secret. It was not a product of war, but of peace. The humans had learned from their past mistakes, creating ships designed for defense, not destruction. But these were no ordinary ships. Each one was a work of art, built with technology that was far ahead of its time. The materials used to construct the ships were light yet durable, capable of withstanding the harshest conditions of space. Their weapons were designed to neutralize threats before they could even reach Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Ellis had always known that the time would come when humanity would need to reveal its true strength. The alien fleet's arrival had merely been the catalyst. With the Armada now fully operational, humanity was ready to show the galaxy what it was capable of. The humans weren't just survivors, they were a force to be reckoned with. Back on Earth, the military was already preparing to launch a Despite the overwhelming odds, there was no panic. Instead, there was focus. Each soldier, each officer, knew their role. The world's governments had come together like never before, putting aside differences and uniting for the first time in history. The enemy may have underestimated humanity, but they would soon learn how wrong they were. The alien fleet, still positioned in orbit above Earth, had been watching the human movements carefully. They were waiting for the humans to make their move. After all, they had expected an easy victory. They had assumed that this primitive species was incapable of putting up a real fight. But what they didn't know was that the humans had been silently preparing for this moment for years. Suddenly, the calm was broken by a ripple in space. The alien fleet's sensors picked up an anomaly, something that didn't fit. The human fleet, cloaked until this moment, emerged from the depths of space. The sheer size and scope of the Armada was enough to make even the most seasoned alien commandos pause in shock. There were thousands of ships, each one perfectly synchronized, their weapons and shields ready for battle. The first alien ships attempted to move, but they were too slow. The humans had anticipated every move, every strategy. With precision and grace, the human fleet moved in perfect formation, outmaneuvering their alien counterparts. It was as if they had been preparing for this battle for centuries. The first shots were fired, not in desperation, but with purpose. The alien fleet, expecting a feeble attempt at resistance, was caught off guard by the sheer power and accuracy of the human weapons. One by one, the alien ships were disabled, their shields flickering before collapsing entirely. The humans had developed weapons that could cut through alien technology like a hot knife through butter. Each ship in the human fleet was a powerhouse, capable of taking down an enemy ship with a single well-aimed shot. As the battle raged on, the humans didn't just hold their ground, they began to push the aliens back. With each victory, the humans gained more confidence, more momentum. The alien commanders, initially certain of their superiority, now found themselves scrambling to adapt. Their ships, once thought invincible, were falling one after another. On Earth, the world's leaders watched in awe as the impossible began to unfold. What had once seemed like certain destruction was now turning into an unprecedented victory. The human armada had proven to be more than just a defense mechanism. It was a symbol of humanity's strength, determination, and ingenuity. And as the alien fleet began to retreat, their leaders must have realized the truth. They had made a grave mistake. Humanity was not just a fleeting, fragile species. They were a force to be reckoned with, a species that had hidden its true power for far too long. But the question still lingered. What had the aliens underestimated? What was it about humanity that made them so dangerous? The answers were just beginning to unfold. The galaxy was about to learn the truth. The battle was far from over, but the tide had already begun to shift. The alien fleet, once confident in their power, was now caught in a chaotic struggle they hadn't anticipated. The humans had revealed their hidden strength, and the galaxy would never be the same. Every maneuver, every shot fired from the human ships, seemed to echo a deeper message. Humanity was not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to prove they were more than what the universe had assumed. Above Earth, the vast expanse of space was filled with the sounds of battle. The alien ships, with their dark, menacing forms, now seemed out of place as the sleek and agile human warships danced around them with terrifying precision. Each ship was a marvel of engineering, designed not only for destruction but for survival. Their shields were nearly impenetrable, their weapons more advanced than anything the aliens could understand. From the bridge of the lead human ship, Admiral Sarah King watched as the battle unfolded below her. She had always believed in humanity's potential, but she had never imagined they would rise so fast, so fiercely. The first wave of human ships had shown the galaxy they could hold their own, but now the Armada was moving forward with a renewed purpose. The fight was far from a desperate defense. It was an offensive that sent a clear message. Underestimate us at your peril. Admiral, we're receiving a message from the front lines, a technician called out, breaking Sarah's focus. Put it through, she ordered, still keeping her eyes fixed on the holographic battlefield. The voice that came through was calm, almost too calm for the situation. It was Captain Daniel Reyes, the commander of one of the human ships, positioned at the rear of the Armada. Admiral, we've got them in a pincer. They're trying to regroup, but their command ship is vulnerable. If we move fast enough, we can take it down before they can adjust their strategy. Sarah's mind raced. The command ship was the heart of the alien fleet, the one vessel responsible for coordinating the attacks, directing the waves of ships that had been so overwhelming just hours before. If the humans could destroy it, the alien fleet would be thrown into disarray. But it was heavily guarded, surrounded by an impenetrable wall of enemy ships. Do we have the firepower? Sarah asked, her voice steady, though her heart pounded. In her chest. We do, Reyes replied. We've just deployed the new particle beams. The prototype has shown promise. We can take down their shields with one direct hit. Sarah glanced at the holographic map again, weighing the options. The enemy fleet was far from defeated, and every move they made now had to be precise. One wrong move could mean the end of everything they had worked for. All right, Captain, give me 10 minutes. Make sure you keep those enemy ships distracted. We'll come from the other side, she ordered, her tone sharp. As the line went dead, Sarah turned to her tactical officers. Prepare for a simultaneous strike on their command ship. All ships, make ready for a full-speed assault. This is our moment. The fleet moved quickly, a coordinated effort that seemed almost instinctual. As they approached the enemy lines, Sarah's mind was filled with a thought that had been haunting her since the first wave of alien ships appeared. Why had they underestimated humanity so completely? What was it about the human race that had been so easily dismissed? They weren't just a species of survivors. They were born fighters, determined to overcome impossible odds. Back on Earth, the people watched in stunned silence as the battle raged above them. They had heard the stories of humanity's struggle to reach the stars, to survive the many obstacles that came with exploring the unknown. But now, the whole world could see their true potential. The alien ships, so sure of their superiority, were faltering. For the first time, humanity wasn't just surviving, they were thriving. As the human ships closed in on their target, the alien fleet began to regroup. The command ship, though heavily protected, was slowly becoming more vulnerable with every passing second. The humans had already disabled several smaller alien vessels, leaving gaps in their defenses. The assault began. In perfect synchronization, the human ships fired their advanced weaponry, launching beams of concentrated energy at the alien command ship. The particle beams struck the enemy's shields, causing them to flicker and pulse with visible strain. The alien fleet retaliated, launching a barrage of counterattacks. But the human ships were moving too quickly, too fluidly. Every shot they fired was calculated and precise, each one designed to hit its mark. The battle had become a deadly dance, and humanity was leading. Admiral, were through their defenses, came the voice of Captain Reyes again, targeting the command ship's main reactor now. The tension in Sarah's chest tightened. This was the moment that could change everything. The fate of the galaxy rested on whether they could destroy that ship. She watched as the countdown to impact ticked closer and closer. The aliens, realizing the human strategy, tried to divert their attention, but it was too late. The human fleet had already made their move. With one final, concentrated blast, the particle beam struck the heart of the alien command ship. There was a brilliant flash of light, followed by a wave of shockwaves that rippled across the battlefield. The alien fleet seemed to stumble, their once perfect coordination now in disarray. The shields of the remaining ships flickered, and many of them were left vulnerable. The command ship exploded, sending a massive shockwave through the battlefield. The remaining alien ships, now without direction, began to scatter. The humans, sensing victory, pressed forward with relentless speed. The battle was far from over, but the alien fleet had lost their edge. They were no longer an unstoppable force. They were simply another enemy, one that humanity had shown could be defeated. As the human ships pushed further into the alien fleet, Sarah allowed herself a brief moment to breathe. They had done it, the impossible had been achieved, and the galaxy had just witnessed the first step in humanity's rise to power. They had underestimated the humans, and now, the galaxy would never forget that mistake. As the alien fleet retreated, the victorious humans couldn't afford to celebrate just yet. Their first major victory had shaken the invaders, but they knew the war was far from over. The alien forces, now reeling from the loss of their command ship, were not the kind to give up easily. They would regroup, adapt, and come back stronger. But the humans were no longer the underdogs. They had a newfound confidence, one born from the realization that they had more power, more potential, than anyone had ever imagined. They were ready for whatever came next. The human leaders, sitting in their command center deep beneath the Earth, watched the aftermath of the battle unfold on their monitors. The entire planet was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. The victory was sweet, but the tension in the room was palpable. They were not naive enough to think that this war was over, and every move they made from here on out would be critical. Admiral Sarah King stood at the head of the command room, her face grim as she watched the alien fleet break apart. They had won the battle, but she knew they hadn't won the war. She could feel it in her bones. The aliens were far more resourceful than they had let on, and their regrouping efforts had already begun. The humans needed to stay one step ahead, or they would be caught off guard once again. "What's the status on the alien regrouping?" Sarah asked, her voice steady but sharp. "Sir, we've intercepted several signals," a technician reported, his eyes scanning his console. "The aliens are already beginning to pull back and consolidate. Their fleet is forming up in several places across the galaxy. They're preparing for another assault." Sarah nodded, feeling the weight of the situation settle on her shoulders. The humans had taken down the heart of the alien force, but now, they had to deal with the remnants of the fleet. The alien forces had been too confident, but now they were aware of what humanity was capable of. It would only be a matter of time before they retaliated. "We need to be ready for their next move," Sarah said, turning to her team. "Start preparing for Phase 2. We can't wait for them to regroup. We need to hit them before they have a chance to organize." The room buzzed with activity as orders were relayed and new strategies were developed. The humans had shown they were capable of fighting on the front lines, but now they needed to play the long game. It was time to take the fight to the enemy, to show them that humanity's victory wasn't a fluke, but the beginning of something much larger. But there was one thing Sarah hadn't expected, and it was something that changed everything. Amid the chaos, the mysterious alien girl appeared. She was no longer just a shadow in the distance. She had become a central figure in the war. No one knew exactly who she was or where she had come from, but her presence was undeniable. She was powerful, radiating an aura of strength and intelligence that was unlike anything Sarah had ever seen. The alien girl had been with the humans since the beginning of the conflict, guiding them through the most difficult moments. Her knowledge of alien technology and tactics was unparalleled. She had been instrumental in revealing the true potential of the human Armada, helping them defeat the alien fleet with strategic precision. But there was more to her than just her intelligence. There was an air of mystery around her, something that no one could quite put their finger on. "Admiral," one of the officers said, pulling Sarah from her thoughts. "The alien girl has requested a meeting with you. She says it's urgent." Sarah's eyebrows furrowed in curiosity. The girl had always been a quiet figure, a behind-the-scenes operator who rarely sought attention. If she was requesting a meeting now, it must be something important. "Send her in," Sarah said, her tone firm but intrigued. Moments later, the alien girl stepped into the command room. Her appearance was as striking as ever, with features that were at once familiar and entirely alien. Her skin shimmered with an ethereal glow, and her eyes held a depth of knowledge and experience that seemed far beyond her years. She wore a form-fitting, elegant outfit that was unlike anything the humans had ever seen, a design that seemed to blend ancient alien cultures with futuristic technology. "I have information that could change the course of the war," the alien girl said, her voice calm but urgent, "but you need to listen carefully." Sarah nodded, motioning for the girl to continue. "I have been hiding among your people for some time," the girl continued. "I was born of a long-lost human lineage, one that was thought to be extinct. My true origins have been hidden from the galaxy, even from the aliens themselves. The technology that your people have been developing, it's based on ancient knowledge. Knowledge that my people have guarded for centuries. What you've discovered is just the beginning." The room fell silent. No one had expected this revelation. The alien girl wasn't just an ally, she was part of a lineage that could hold the key to humanity's dominance in the galaxy. She was more than just a skilled strategist. She was a link to humanity's forgotten past, a past that could change the future. "We need to act quickly," the girl continued. "The aliens may have underestimated you, but they are not without their own powerful secrets. There is a hidden faction within their ranks, one that has been keeping its own advancements under wraps. They're planning something far more dangerous than you realize. If you don't take action now, they will have the upper hand again." Sarah's heart raced. The girl's words were chilling, but they were also a call to action. The galaxy was far more complex than they had thought, and the stakes were higher than ever. The war was no longer just about defending Earth, it was about unlocking the true power that humanity had been hiding all along. "What do we need to do?" Sarah asked, her voice firm. "We need to find the source of their power," the alien girl said, "and once we do, we can end this war before it begins again." Sarah took a deep breath, understanding the gravity of the moment. The real war was just beginning. The tension in the air was palpable as the human forces prepared for their next move. The unexpected revelation from the alien girl had shaken the foundations of what they thought they knew about the war. The stakes were higher now. The alien fleet, though weakened, was not finished yet, and the hidden faction within their ranks, something far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated, was still out there, waiting to strike. The humans couldn't afford to wait for the aliens to regroup again. They needed to be proactive, decisive. Time was running out, and the galaxy was on the brink of a much larger conflict than anyone had imagined. Admiral Sarah King stood at the center of the command room, staring at the holographic display of the galaxy. Her fingers hovered above the console as she studied the positions of both the human and alien forces. The alien fleet had been scattered, but they weren't just retreating, they were regrouping, pulling together their remaining forces and preparing for a strike that could destroy everything humanity had worked for. The human fleet had struck first, but now the aliens were preparing a response, one that would require all of humanity's strength to survive. Sarah's mind raced as she thought about the alien girl's words. The secret faction within the enemy forces, what did that mean? She had no idea how deep the conspiracy ran, but it was clear that the aliens were hiding something. And if they had been able to keep it hidden for so long, who knew what kind of weaponry or technology they were secretly developing? Humanity's victory had been a surprise, but it wasn't enough to guarantee their safety. If they were going to win this war, they needed to know everything about the enemy. I need a full-scale intelligence operation, Sarah ordered, her voice steady but urgent. Get every resource we have to uncover the enemy's next move. We can't afford to be caught off guard again. The officers in the command room immediately got to work. Officers scrambled to their stations, relaying orders and activating the intelligence networks that had been set up across the galaxy. Every ship, every station, was on alert. They had no time to waste. Meanwhile, the alien girl, who had become an unexpected ally, worked in the background, assisting the humans with her knowledge of alien technology. Despite her otherworldly appearance, she had proven to be more human than many could have imagined. Her understanding of the alien psyche, their strategies, and their weaknesses was invaluable. But it was her intimate knowledge of the galaxy's history that truly set her apart. I know where they are hiding their most powerful weapon, the girl had said earlier, her voice calm yet filled with the weight of ancient knowledge. It's a lost technology, buried deep within an uncharted region of space. The aliens have been guarding it for centuries. If they succeed in activating it, the entire balance of power will shift in their favor. You need to stop them before that happens. The humans were already making plans to send a small team of elite soldiers, engineers, and scientists to investigate this hidden region. They had no choice. If they didn't act now, the aliens would recover their weapon and launch an assault that could wipe out entire planets in an instant. But the journey would not be easy. The region was uncharted, filled with dangerous anomalies, and the aliens were sure to have placed traps and defenses to keep anyone from discovering their secret. The humans had to move fast, but they also had to be careful. One mistake, and it could be the end. In the command center, Sarah turned to her most trusted officers. We'll need a team that's capable of handling anything. I want our best operatives on this mission, and I want them ready to leave within the hour. The team was assembled quickly, a mix of seasoned veterans and new recruits, all handpicked for their skills, their adaptability, and their courage. They were briefed on the mission's objectives: infiltrate the alien stronghold, locate the hidden weapon, and neutralize it before the aliens could use it against them. The mission would be dangerous, and there was no guarantee they would return, but the fate of the galaxy rested on their shoulders. As the team boarded their specialized ships, Sarah couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. She knew this was a gamble. The humans had already shown the galaxy their strength, but they had also exposed their vulnerability. The aliens now knew that humanity wasn't a weak species to be easily crushed. They would come back with everything they had, and the hidden weapon, whatever it was, would only make the fight more intense. The journey to the uncharted region was a long one. The team's ships moved through the cold, empty expanse of space, navigating through asteroid fields and radiation zones. The region they were heading into was notorious for its instability. Unpredictable gravitational forces, unexplained energy surges, and shifting space-time pockets made it a place no one had dared to explore until now. As they neared the heart of the region, the strange phenomena began to intensify. Ships shuddered as they passed through waves of electromagnetic interference. The crew worked quickly, adjusting their navigation systems and keeping their sensors calibrated. They couldn't afford to lose their way, not now. Then, as if on cue, the alien traps activated. A massive, invisible barrier suddenly appeared in front of them, blocking their path. The ship's systems went haywire, alarms blaring as their shields flickered. The barrier was unlike anything they had ever encountered, and the team knew immediately that they were being watched. The aliens had anticipated this move, and they were not going to make it easy. "We've got incoming," one of the crew members shouted. Suddenly a fleet of alien ships materialized out of the shadows. They had been hiding, waiting for the humans to make their move. The team was caught in a trap, but the humans were ready. They had prepared for this. The battle for the hidden weapon had begun. With everything on the line, the humans fought with everything they had, their ships moving in a coordinated dance of evasive maneuvers and deadly precision. The fight was intense, but the humans had the advantage of knowing their enemy's tactics, thanks to the alien girl's invaluable intel. In the chaos of the battle, the human team pressed forward. They had to reach the weapon before the aliens could use it, before the galaxy was plunged into an irreversible war. With every passing moment, the stakes grew higher. The fight was no longer just about survival. It was about ensuring that humanity's future was not destroyed by the very power they had uncovered. The mission had begun. and there was no turning back. The battle raged in the shadows of an unknown galaxy, and humanity was far from the naive species they had once been seen as. As the human team fought tooth and nail to push deeper into the heart of the alien stronghold, an overwhelming realization hit them. This was not just a war for survival, it was a fight for the future of the entire galaxy. The technology they sought to destroy was not just another weapon, it was a tool of unimaginable power, one that could change the very fabric of the universe itself. The human fleet, now battle-hardened and confident, was beginning to see the full scale of what they were up against. The alien forces, though severely weakened by the destruction of their command ship, had regrouped faster than anyone had expected. It seemed as though they had endless resources, and no matter how many ships the humans destroyed, more seemed to take their place. They were relentless, an embodiment of the alien pride and might that had once believed they were untouchable. Now, they had learned the hard way that they had severely underestimated their human counterparts dotted the front lines. Admiral Sarah King was hard at work coordinating her forces. She could feel the intensity of the battle in her chest as she scanned the battlefield. It had been hours since they launched their offensive, and the situation had only become more desperate. The human fleet, although formidable, was starting to show signs of strain. The aliens were relentless, and their sheer numbers were beginning to overwhelm even the most advanced human ships. But Sarah wasn't about to give up. There was more at stake than just this battle. The galaxy was on the edge of chaos, and if humanity could hold their ground here, they would be able to change the tide of the war. Her fingers drummed against the holographic display, analyzing every shift in the enemy's tactics. It was clear the aliens were gearing up for their next big move. "We're losing ground on the far left flank," one of her officers shouted, his voice tinged with urgency. "We need reinforcements now, or we'll be surrounded." Sarah's eyes flicked to the map. It was a calculated risk, but she knew she had to commit. "Redirect the 2nd Division to support the left flank. We can't afford to let them encircle us. And tell Captain Reyes to begin Phase 3. If we're going to win this, we need to cut off their reinforcements before they reach the command center." The officer nodded quickly and relayed the orders. But as Sarah watched the battle unfold, she knew that this war was about far more than just tactics and firepower. The humans had made it clear that they were capable of more than just defending their homeworld. They were now a force the galaxy would reckon with. Yet, with every victory came a terrifying thought. Would their ability to fight back outgrow their understanding of the forces they were dealing with? In the deep recesses of space, the alien factions were beginning to realize that they had made a grave miscalculation. Their arrogance had led them to believe that Earth, with its primitive technology, would fall under the weight of their superior fleets. But as they faced the truth of humanity's resilience, they knew they were not simply fighting an advanced species. They were up against a species that had faced extinction time and time again, only to rise stronger each time. As Sarah continued to strategize, a sudden transmission broke through their communication channels. It was a voice they hadn't heard in a long time. The mysterious alien girl. Her presence had become an anchor for the human forces, and though they still didn't fully understand her origins, they had come to trust her. "Admiral," the alien girl's voice crackled through the line, "you're not seeing the bigger picture. The true enemy isn't just the fleet you're fighting now. There's something much older, much more powerful waiting. The weapon you're trying to destroy, it's just one piece of a larger plan." Sarah's mind raced. "What do you mean? We've been tracking their movements. What else is out there? The faction within their ranks. It's not just about war, it's about control of time and space itself," the alien girl said, her voice steady, yet laced with urgency. "The technology the aliens are hiding isn't just a weapon of mass destruction, it's a means to rewrite history. They've found a way to manipulate the very fabric of reality, to alter events, to undo defeats and reshape the galaxy in their image." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. If what the alien girl was saying was true, this wasn't just a war for control of the galaxy. This was a battle for existence itself. If the alien faction succeeded in harnessing that technology, the entire future of the universe could be changed in ways that no one could predict. "We can't let them get their hands on it," Sarah said firmly. "How do we stop them?" The alien girl's voice softened. "There's a key, a location, a place where their power is at its strongest. It's hidden within the fabric of space, disguised as something ordinary. But it's there, and if you find it, you can stop them." The map in Sarah's mind shifted, and she realized that this was the turning point they had been waiting for. She had to trust the alien girl's words, even if they seemed unbelievable. This was no longer just a matter of defeating the alien fleet. The humans had to understand their enemy's true nature and destroy their ability to manipulate the universe itself. We're going to need every ship, every resource we have, Sarah said, her voice hard with determination. Prepare for a new phase of the war. We'll locate this key, and we'll destroy it before they can use it. As Sarah relayed her orders, a new sense of urgency swept through the fleet. The team on the ground, having secured the last of the alien strongholds, was now racing against time. Every moment mattered. They knew that the key to victory didn't lie in the stars above them or in the warships surrounding them. It lay in understanding the true nature of the enemy's power. The galaxy had always been a vast, uncharted space, full of mysteries and unknowns. But now the humans had to face the greatest challenge of all, not just fighting to survive, but unlocking the secret that could change everything. This war wasn't about defeating an enemy, it was about rewriting the rules of the universe itself. And Sarah was ready to lead them into that battle, knowing that it was a fight not just for survival, but for the future of reality itself. The vast emptiness of space was eerily quiet, a silence that contrasted sharply with the chaos unfolding in the war against the alien forces. The human fleet, battered but unbowed, had entered the final stage of the battle. They were no longer fighting to merely survive now, it was about preserving the future, ensuring that the galaxy remained free from the tyranny that had once seemed unstoppable. The discovery of the alien faction's true power had reshaped everything. The war, which had begun as a desperate fight for survival, had now become a race against time. If they didn't act swiftly, the fabric of reality itself would be altered, and the course of history would be rewritten in ways beyond anyone's comprehension. Admiral Sarah King stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the stars shimmer through the viewport. The battle had shifted in an instant, and the stakes were higher than ever. The alien fleet had regrouped, but now, the enemy's true strength, the weapon they had been so desperately trying to find, was within their reach. The location of the ancient alien device had been uncovered, a place where the forces of space and time converged in a way that no one truly understood. If the humans didn't stop it now, the alien faction would harness its power and reshape everything they had fought for. "Admiral, we've found it," came the voice of Captain Reyes over the comms. "The location of the alien key. It's in an abandoned system, hidden beneath a cloud of radiation. Our sensors are barely picking it up, but it's there. We're heading in." Sarah's heart raced as the weight of the situation hit her fully. They had come so far, overcome so much, but this was it. The final test. This weapon wasn't just a tool of destruction, it was a device that could manipulate reality itself, alter the timeline, and undo everything humanity had accomplished. The thought of what the aliens could do with such a power filled her with a sense of dread she couldn't shake. If they succeeded, Earth might never have had a chance to rise. "Keep your course steady, Captain," Sarah replied. "We'll follow you in. I don't need to remind you of the stakes. We get in, we destroy that device, and we get out. No room for failure." The fleet began its final approach, each ship synchronized in perfect formation. The enemy would be waiting. They knew the humans were coming. The aliens had already placed their defenses around the key. The closer the humans got, the more difficult it would be to break through. The radiation cloud that surrounded the system distorted communications, threw off their sensors, and made the journey treacherous. It was as if the universe itself was trying to stop them from reaching their goal. As they approached the abandoned system, the true scale of the weapon became apparent. The device was housed in a massive structure, a sprawling fortress built from alien technology older than anything the humans had ever encountered. Its surface shimmered with energy, pulsing with a power that seemed to reverberate through the very space around it. It was a beacon, calling to them. And as Sarah gazed at the structure, she couldn't help but feel that it was more than just a weapon. It was a symbol of everything the aliens had tried to accomplish. A symbol of their arrogance, their desire to dominate. "We're close." Admiral Reyes' voice crackled through the comms. "We're entering the gravitational pull of the system. The alien fleet is assembling. They're ready for us." Sarah's eyes narrowed. It was now or never. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. The fleet was closing in, and every second counted. The alien forces would do everything they could to stop them, and the human fleet was already running on fumes. The pressure of the mission weighed heavily on her shoulders, but she refused to let fear take hold. There was no room for hesitation. "All ships prepare for immediate engagement," Sarah commanded. "Our objective is the core of that structure. We can't let the aliens use the weapon." The battle erupted as the human fleet engaged the alien defenses. The once untouchable alien ships now seemed less menacing. The humans had learned their enemies' tactics, and the element of surprise was no longer in their favor. Each ship in the human fleet was a finely tuned instrument of destruction, moving with deadly precision. The alien ships retaliated fiercely, but their attempts were disjointed, weak. The humans were relentless, pushing forward, their path carved with fire and destruction. On the surface of the alien fortress, a team of elite soldiers had already descended, led by the mysterious alien girl whose knowledge of the enemy's inner workings had been the deciding factor in this final assault. With her guidance, the soldiers infiltrated the fortress, moving swiftly and quietly through its massive halls. The walls seemed to pulse with strange energy, as though the very structure of the fortress was alive, its power reaching out to stop them. But the team pressed forward, determined to reach the core before it was too late. As they reached the heart of the fortress, they found it, the device. It was a massive, crystalline structure, surrounded by a complex network of alien machinery. The power radiating from it was unlike anything they had encountered, a force that seemed to bend reality itself. The alien girl stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the device, her face a mask of determination. "This is it," she whispered. "Destroy this, and the aliens' power over time and space will crumble. We'll take back control of our future." The team set to work immediately, planting charges around the device. But just as they were about to finish, the ground shook. The aliens had discovered their presence. The fortress was coming to life, its defenses activating with terrifying speed. The team fought to hold their ground, but the pressure was mounting. Time was running out. "We're almost there," one of the soldiers shouted, sweat dripping from his brow. "Just a few more seconds." Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed through the halls. The core of the device began to glow brighter, its energy spiking out of control. The alien forces were closing in, but the human team was too close to turn back now. The charges were set. They had no choice but to push forward. "Get back," the alien girl cried, her voice rising in urgency. The explosion was deafening. A brilliant flash of light erupted, and for a moment, everything went white. When the dust settled, the fortress was gone, obliterated, along with the weapon. The team had succeeded. The shockwaves rippled through space. The alien fleet, sensing their weapons' destruction, faltered. The balance of power had shifted, and for the first time in the war, humanity had won not just a battle, but the future. As the dust cleared and the humans emerged from the wreckage, the galaxy held its breath. The war was not over, but the victory had sent a message. Humanity would no longer be underestimated. They had not only survived, they had rewritten the rules of the universe. And as the stars glistened in the distance, the human fleet turned toward the galaxy's future, ready to reclaim their place among the stars.